Okay, welcome back. Just had a thought in the break, and one thing I haven't mentioned is string skipping, which is, as the name suggests, it means skipping strings, really, but it's kind of gives it a bit more of an intervallic sound, I guess. So we'll just do some simple ones. You can get as extreme or as crazy as you want to get with these things, but I'll just show you one or two fairly easy ones to begin with. First one's going to go from the bottom E string straight to the D string. And then you're going to go back to the A string and skip to the G string. D string to the B string. Hit that flat 5 in there accidentally, but that's quite a nice sound as well. And then finally the G string to the top E string. Now if I had time, I'd make you go through all 5 positions of the D minor pentatonic doing that exact same thing. But I don't want to... there's loads of stuff that I want to get through today. So if you try that with each of the 5 positions, I'll still be here when you get back. I'll try that slowly in one kind of... So it's going to sound a bit like that now, okay? So together, 3 and 4 and... And obviously you can do exactly the same thing backwards as well. 3 and 4 and... Okay, this might not seem particularly fast at the moment. The fast bit's coming up. Essentially, I think the best thing I can say about speed is essentially it's a byproduct of accuracy. So what we're aiming for is accuracy with the left hand, and then next we're going to be working on the picking hand, and then coordination involved in joining the two things together. So So it doesn't really matter. If you can do it at that speed, that's great. If not, don't worry about it, because you've still got your stabilizers on. You need to sort of train your fingers so they know exactly what you're trying to do with them, okay? And as I said, a little extra bonus you get for doing all these exercises is even when you play chords, you think, oh yeah, it feels better, because your fingertips feel more positive. That's what we're trying to get on the guitar, is a positive kind of connection with each note. A lot of guitarists tend to rely on distortion. Okay, I can always tell when I'm teaching. I can always tell when the students have been in and been using the amps, because the distortion's on 10 and the reverb's on 10 and everything's kind of, What we're trying to get at the moment is to get more of the sound from your hands. Okay, essentially that's what gives you your individual style, your individual sound, rather than relying on outboard gear and stuff. So we're going to try and use some of these exercises, but in the form of licks that you'll hear people like Gary Moore, people like Jimmy Page, all these kind of people doing this sort of stuff all the time. First one is a real simple. Again, we'll be in D minor pentatonic. You should try these in all 5 positions, but we'll just do it around our first position to begin with. Exercise sounds a bit like this. Now remember, when you play that, breathe. That really, I'm serious about this. You need to be as relaxed as possible. As soon as you start tensing up and holding your breath, it just feels a lot more difficult. Your hands get tired quicker. You won't be able to do it. Okay, so we're just going to cycle that slowly together. 3 and 4 and. In fact, you may not even want to pick the note on the B string. You might just want to pick that first, that initial D note. Part of the way I'm keeping this quiet, by the way, is the side of the first finger resting up against the B string, so that when the third finger comes off the B string, you don't actually get the open B string. Okay, so the B string is not going to ring because the side of the first finger is just keeping that quiet there. So, great thing about this lick is you can transfer it instantly onto the next two strings down. If you play it on the 13th fret, you get that flat 5, that kind of real bluesy sound. If you want to stay within the pentatonic scale, I'm going to use the little finger for this now. Again, you've got the same thing with the first finger, resting against the G string to keep that quiet. This time I'm using the little finger on the B string on the 13th fret. It really depends on what mood I'm in, to be honest, what fingers I'm going to use on some of these phrases. I might use the little finger for that. I might use the third. I might use the little finger for the F. And then the third finger for the C on the B string. Really, try them all. Try them all to find out what works for you. Find the difficult ones, work on those more, because that's, you don't want any holes in your technique. I think that's right. The other thing I was going to mention, for picking, I'm just using 2 downstrokes. If you want to pick that C note, I'm going to use 2 downstrokes. I don't know if you can see that, so I'm just hitting the C. And the pick actually starts to rest on the top E string. It's called a rest stroke. And then, now while you're doing that with the left hand, your right hand's got loads of time for the pick to come back onto the B string. You might even want to try some variations of that. I always try and encourage my students, to take these ideas and, you should be thinking straight away, what else can I do with that? How can I change that to make that more interesting? Okay, I've added another note from the D minor pentatonic scale there. That's kind of a nice note there. This is the note G on the 15th fret. Still got the same note on the B string there. You could even try a string skipping approach. I'm making this up as I go along at the moment. I don't know what this is going to sound like. That's quite nice. Now, obviously, if you're going to be using a G string, D string, whatever, you can't use 2 downstrokes now because the B string's in the way. So you might come up with these kind of things where you're hitting that with an upstroke, and then that with a downstroke. Sometimes I'm tempted to use these other fingers on the left hand. It's kind of a nice sound as well. You get a bit more of a snap to the note. Just using the second finger, just using the flesh of the second finger. I don't have any nails, so I always use flesh. So that way, flesh takes care of the top E string. And then simple downstroke on the G note of the G string. So we've taken a simple Gary Moore, Michael Schenker type lick, and we've made it into, made it a bit more my own, I suppose. I wouldn't hear that and think, oh, that's that Gary Moore lick. That just sounds like something completely different. And now for something completely different. Okay, so really can't emphasize that enough. You really want to try and take these ideas and add as much of your own character, your own personality into them as possible. Here's another one that's, again, kind of Michael Schenker type. instead of hitting that F note twice, we're actually going to swap the second F for E natural. It's quite a cool sound. Let's try that slowly. Okay, here we go. 3 and a 4 and. Again, pay attention to the finger in here. I'm using the little finger, third finger, and little finger again. And it's still only 2 downstrokes. Loads of notes for only 2 strokes. You can see nothing really is nothing's too taxing at the moment, hopefully. Again, transfer the same thing onto the B string. And you have a choice of staying within the E minor pentatonic or with the flat 5, the blues thing. I'd probably use the blues thing, actually. That sounds cool. And it also means you can take the exact same. Okay, so things to look out for. First finger, muting the adjacent string, whatever you're doing. Keeping the left hand as relaxed as possible. Try not to move the fingers too far off the neck. A lot of people tend to tense the left hand when they do this kind of thing. Try and keep it as relaxed as possible. In fact, you should be able to, if you focus on the thumb, you can't press too hard with the fingers if your thumb's relaxed. Okay, so try and so you haven't actually got the thumb on the neck. Okay, so I'm not actually pressing with the thumb at all, which means that you can't press too hard with the fingers. You know, this left hand needs to be as relaxed as humanly possible. So keep breathing. Try not to hunch your shoulders. I have a tendency to do that, but that's because that's why I've had 3 operations on that arm so far. So that's my own stupid fault. Try not to do the same thing. Breaks, shoulder rolls, all that kind of stuff is really going to help you out here. Okay, so that's a whole bunch of exercises. I've just had a thought. The final thing on this, because at the moment we're not really using the second finger at all, and I'd like to use the second finger. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend this lick. I'm going to add that extra note from the D minor pentatonic, which we liked earlier. That sounds quite cool. So I'll show you that lick really slowly. Here we go. Start off with a downstroke on the note D, on the 10th fret of the top B string. Hammer the 15th fret, pull off, hammer the 13th fret, pull off, hammer the 12th fret, pull off, and then finish off with a C on the 13th fret of the B string. Sorry, I'll do it slowly, play along. 3 and 4, E and I like that exercise. It actually uses all the fingers. Gets a bit of a workout there. And we could probably. I'm sorry about that silly noise. I love doing that silly noise. I can't get out of it at the moment. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Just transfer it onto the B string. That's the kind of thing we're aiming for here. Okay, so. You see, it really gives these left-hand fingers. There's a little bit of a stretch. When stretching, make sure the thumb is pretty much, as I said earlier, as relaxed as possible, but pretty much behind the second finger. So you can probably see there, when I'm playing that lick, the thumb is pretty much behind where the second finger lives on the 12th fret at that point. If you put the thumb over there, it makes the stretch a lot more difficult. Okay, a lot of guitarists have this kind of tendency to do that. You have no support on the the third and the little finger, and that's obviously where most guitarists are actually weakest. So the thumb will actually help with that as well. It helped to feel a little more positive on the little finger and third finger side. Okay, so that concludes our section number 2.